Hello, and welcome to the 14th episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Today, we're going to be talking about the Dungeon Rock Cave. Now, if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications, and please subscribe and help a girl out. You don't know how much that means to me. Anyway, what do y'all think? Glasses or no glasses? I'm gonna go with glasses because I have a really cute, braid going and headband thing going, but anyway, today we're going to talk about this place. I discovered it, so I was going down a rabbit hole, places urban legends of places to visit and haunted places, and this was on a list. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to go here one day. So, but upon doing my research, I came across this place. It's called Dungeon Rock Cave, and it's a cave that is in Lynn, and is allegedly the place of a pirate named Thomas Ville, who was buried who buried several treasure chests filled with silver and gold back in 1658. Now, he lived in the cave until he lost his life during an earthquake. And even though Hiram Marvel bought the cave and lived on the site for several years, it is uncertain um, if he was ever found the treasure. And Marvel reportedly moved there in 1852 after receiving directions to the treasure from Ville's ghost. So, the question is, who wants to go to Lynn? I do. I do. Anyway, the Lynn Woods Reservation is a municipal forest park that is located in Lynn, Massachusetts. And the City of Lynn's Department of Public Works Commission and Lynn's Water and Sewer Commission share jurisdiction and management of Linwood Reservation, and the park encompasses nearly one-fifth of the entire land of the city to represent a significant natural watershed and public recreational resources in eastern Massachusetts. So, the entire portion of the reservation with Lynn City bounds was added um, to the National Register of National Places in 1996 as a historic district. So, let's talk about a brief history of this place now. Why is it hot? I'm going to go turn the air on. Um, Come on now, y'all. It's like 90 degrees outside. Why is it hot? But anyway, the northwestern part of Lynn has long been in public land, and its southern sections are used as pasture lands as early as the 18th century. Breeze Pond, at the southern end of the reservation, was dammed for industrial use in 1840s, and Dungeon Park became a tourist attraction in the 1850s. So demands for improved water supply in the 1960s led to organized activity to conserve the woodlands that surround Breeze and Walden's Pond. So in 1881, the trustees for the free and public forests were established to oversee the area, and they were also folded into a newly organized Land Parks Department in 1889 to manage 1,600 acres, water supply, and parkland in the reservation. They would grow to currently 2,200 acres, and the Happy Valley Golf Courses was developed in the 1930s. As well, it's the road and the travel networks to cover the park. So, we gotta talk. You remember when I said Captain Ville, right? Well, we gotta talk about him now. So, Captain Ville was one of the most shared by the two unrelated Massachusetts pirates active in 17th century. So, the first Thomas Ville was known as the Legends for Buried Treasure. The second Ville was attacked ships for along New England from Virginia to Boston with a pirate, John Graham. So, let's talk about his buried treasure now. Well, we know that Thomas Ville and three other pirates sailed up the Saugus River in the middle of the 17th century, and they were carrying a chest, but it disappeared after purchasing digging tools and supplies from the locals. Now they built a shelter and brought a woman with them, supposedly a bride to one of the pirates, but she took ill and died soon after. And the authorities raided the pirates' camp and arrested three of them, sending them back to England to be hung. Now, the fourth Ville hid in a nearby cave, where he lived for a time, occasionally working as a cordwainer. Sorry, that's funny. When a large earthquake would strike the area in 1658, the cave would collapse and it would kill him, bearing the treasure with him. The area was known as Pirates Rock and later Dungeon Rock, and Hiram Marvel and his son purchased the land in 1852, and spent decades trying to find Bill's treasure. They also began charging for cave tours to help finance the digs, but eventually gave up. So they were also very unsuccessful, and the area has been restored to is now accessible for tourists. So let's talk about Graham and Bill off New England. So the merchant captain John Prentice sailed into the harbor in New London, Connecticut in 1685, anchoring alongside with a sloop commanded by Captain Bill, and the town Bill and his cargo master were seen as attempting to buy like cannons, even offering sums for them. Now, a merchant captain from Pennsylvania, who had been attacked by Bill near Virginia, recognized him and contacted officials, and Bill and his crew quickly were put to sea and fled. So, Prentice would leave for Boston soon after, spotting a small boat shutting between Bill's sloop and a nearby 14-man shallop. Prentice recognized the shallop commander as John Graham, who Bill chased, engaging in an hour-long running battle. Like, imagine that, an hour-long running battle. Like, I don't even like running that much. But anyway, Prentice also would escape when a thunderstorm allowed him to put a distance between him, the ship, and Vils, and they would be docked in Boston and alerted town officials that Bill and Graham were in the area. And Boston magistrates commissioned the Samson Waters as a privateer, which would authorize him to raise militia and take the bark to capture the pirates. And few locals signed up until the magistrate offered a share of plunder if the pirates were captured, and revealed that the sailor had seen silver, furs, and other treasures aboard his sloop. And now Walter sailed, but Graham and Ville had already departed the area, and he was seen again in 1686 when Ville and Graham were reportedly in the area, but was once more unsuccessful. Now, there's another person we need to talk about now, and that's going to be Thomas Pound. And this was an English Royal Naval officer who turned pirate and was briefly active in the coastal waters of New England during 1689. He was caught and convicted of piracy, and his crimes were forgiven and later rejoined the Royal Navy. So, Pound was born in England, and he joined the Royal Navy and rose to become a junior officer in naval cartographer. Cannot say that word. And he was stationed in colonial port of Boston. And one of Pound's maps have been preserved in the Library of Congress depicting New Boston's coastline between Cape Cod and Cape Sables on the modern-day Sable Island. So, the pirate part now? Well, on August 8, 1689, he was aboard a small vessel owned by Thomas Hawken in the company of 6 other passengers when it anchored off Lovell Island and was boarded by 5 additional men, and by prearrangement, Pound and his newly arrived men from Lovell's Island then seized the ship as their own, and he willingly joined the pirates, and he occasionally named in Pound's place in these subsequent events. His first encounter as a pirate was unspectacular. Sailing along the Massachusetts coast, he encountered the fishing vessels, but he failed to engage. Instead, Pound had his vessels hauled alongside and purchased a supply of mackerel for 8 pennies. Turning north, he made his way to Falmouth, Maine, and supplemented his small crew with the soldiers who had deserted from the local garrison. Now returning to the sea, he and his men then attacked the sloop Slope off Cape Cod and brigantine Merrimac, among the other ships in the New England area. So, an armed sloop Mary, was sent out by the Massachusetts government against Pound and his crew. And on October 4th, Mary would discover an engaged Pound vessels anchored off Notion Island. In heavy fighting, Pound suffered a gunshot wound and Mary's captain, Samuel Pease, was killed. Outnumbered and outgunned, Pound and his crew surrendered and was taken back to Boston for trial. Now, on January 13, 1690, Pound and Hawkins were found guilty of acts of piracy and sentenced to death. There is redemption, though. Pound was placed aboard the HMS Rose, the replacement for the Royal Navy of Pound's old frigate and Safe Rose, bound for England, where he was sentence was to be carried out. However, the ship was mid-voyage when it was attacked by a French privateer, and Pound was released to assist in defense. After the death of the captain, and he fought bravely on behalf of his captors, Pound received a commutation of his sentence upon arrival and was released from prison after a short incarceration. Hawkins had been back in England on the same ship, but was killed in action against a French privateer. Now, Pound's naval rank was restored, and he was later given a command of his own vessel. In a brief piratical career that apparently was forgotten, he would die in 1703. Oh my gosh, what do y'all think of this? Very interesting how this took a turn, like a naval officer turned pirate, kind of like a cop going rogue, but officer going rogue, but then getting redemption. Very curious, but I do want to go explore this area. If you've been there, let me know, like, if this is supposedly true and everything.